Truth is, your whole life is a lie.
Indeed, the truth lies. Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Halal Experience here, and today we're going to be reviewing Black Ops 6. So Black Ops 6 actually was one of the biggest games in the world. It literally was the most selling, it's one of the most selling Call of Duties of all time, especially last year when it came out. Everybody was talking about this game, and it was so big when it started, and now it's one of the most hated on and dead games that we have right now. And it's the Call of Duty market right now is just so stale. So what the heck happened? I do this in 3 sections. We're gonna talk about the campaign, the multiplayer, and then the zombies. So to start off, we're gonna talk about the campaign. Alright, so the campaign was one of the most anticipated things for me personally. The campaign is usually the whole basis for the Call of Duty game. It sets the whole theme of the game, the whole vibe of the game, the story of the game, where the maps are going to take place, what teams are even fighting in multiplayer, like JSOC versus the Guild, for example, for Black Ops 7, it sets up the whole baseline for the game. So what is Black Ops 6's story? Well, Black Ops 6's story is a lie. Just like they said in the marketing that the truth lies, this whole story is a lie. I will play a clip now of one of the teasers they showed of the Black Ops 6 campaign, and you let me know if this is what the game actually looked like.
We're recording. Truth is, your whole life is a lie.
You wanted peace, so we hit the war, and now it rages on in the shadows.
Behind the closed doors, where we hide the world's secrets.
While we build your trust, the world falls apart around you. If you weren't so distracted, you'd realize
Nothing is what it seems. But if it's truth you seek, look in the dark.
So yeah, that was one of the teasers for the Black Ops 6 campaign. It had the presidents in there, it had Saddam Hussein, the whole vibe was black and white, it was 80s Cold War, whatever theme. But none of that actually happened. The truth was a lie. If we examine the campaign mission by mission, you'll see what I mean. So, there are multiple missions in Black Ops 6. Right, so the first mission here, I believe it's called Mission Takes Rook. This is the mission where you are in the Middle East, and you're basically, it's the intro mission, the first mission you do. You're basically just driving around, and you find, I think, Jane Hero or something, and you're basically looking for this one Arab dude. You find him, he has intel, you're trying to escort him out. Boom, Russell Adder comes out and shoots him. This is actually a pretty good mission from the start. It's not as chaotic or crazy like some of the other missions like Black Ops 2 where you're literally fighting in a war and there's a dude burning in the fire right beside you and you're trying to break him out. Oh my god, it's nothing like that, but it's still a pretty good intro mission. And then Adler just coming out shooting him really sets up the story, and it really makes you think that he's gonna have a huge role in this game. So I have nothing really wrong with this mission, but let's go into the second mission. So the second mission, I believe, is Blood Feud, I believe it's called, and this mission is in Avalon. You're basically playing as your main character Case, and you're basically going on a hitman mission to help Savati Duma, this like random criminal person that's working with you. I don't really know, I don't care, but yeah, you're basically going through here and you find this one crime family dude, you take him out. That's pretty much the whole story. This mission was decent. It's just a hitman mission, and you'll see that Black Ops 6 missions have a lot of the similar styles where it's just half the missions are going to be your traditional Call of Duty missions like Bishop Takes Rook, then the other ones are going to be Avalon missions that are more a little bit out there with like hitman missions and psychological random stuff. So this mission's alright. So the next mission is called Most Wanted. This mission again switches back to the more traditional style. You're basically in like the US in a campaign for, I think it was Bill Clinton or something, and you have multiple ways to do this mission, but you're basically trying to secure some intel or something and free Russell Adler. This mission's pretty cool. The whole vibe aesthetic is cool. It's more sneaking around. You are doing some stuff, and then at the end it becomes a kind of traditional Call of Duty mission where you're just fighting soldiers, you fight a juggernaut, you save Russell Adler. It's pretty good, and I think like these were like probably the best missions. Like to start off, they were pretty good missions to really build up that hype about what we're doing, why we're rescuing Russell Adler, where the story is going, and then boom, you escape with him on a motorcycle. It's really cool. We saw this in the trailer. They really hyped up this mission a lot in the marketing. I'm pretty sure they showed off a bit of this mission too. So yeah, it was a really cool mission. So then the next mission after this is really where I think the mission started to take a weird turn of just being missions that really had no point. So the next mission was hunting season. This was the open world mission that they tried to do for this game. It's the only one, thankfully, but it is just terrible. Nobody likes this mission. The aesthetic, I will say, is really cool. You're in the desert of the Middle East. It's blue, vibrant. It looks beautiful. I will give it that. But the mission itself is very boring. You're not following a linear thing. You're just driving around half the time, and God forbid if your vehicle breaks, which has happened to me, you have to run for like an hour. It is so boring. I don't like this mission. It ends pretty cool where you raid Saddam Hussein's palace and all that stuff. That is really cool. That becomes your kind of traditional, or actually I think that's the next mission, but yeah, this mission is not that great. It is just very boring. This is where I think the mission started to take a bit of a wrong turn. So the next mission is the Cradle. This is your traditional Black Ops mission. You raid Saddam Hussein's palace. Again, he's not there, so their marketing is already bullshit. He's not there. He was never in the story. He just was kind of thrown in there for coolness. But you come in this mission and you basically find the Cradle program, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's an okay mission. You raid the house, and then you sit on the rooftop and you have do some defense waves, and then the chopper comes and saves you, and I think the whole place blows up. It's a pretty cool mission, but again, it's not out there like a lot of the other missions. So the next one is Emergence. This mission is probably the most controversial because a lot of people like this mission and a lot of people don't like this mission. I personally think this mission is great. It's a really cool mission because it has a really cool aesthetic. It's really out there, and it really does have that whole psychological thing that Black Ops really likes to do. A lot of people complain that zombies were in it, but honestly, man, the zombies in this mission feel a lot different than the ones from the actual zombies mode. Just the whole aesthetic, and like even if you look at the Disciple, he's all black and scary looking. It's a lot different than the one that we actually have in Shattered Veil. The whole area and atmosphere of this place is also very creepy. There was also this one part where like woods, you have like tons of woods just running at you. That was really creepy. I think this was a pretty good mission, and it had some cool little story hints in there where you actually find out that Case was the first patient for the Cradle project, and that is the character you play as. It was really cool. I did like this mission. So the next mission is High Rollers. This is the mission where you're kind of in the casino and you have to basically break into the bank or whatever to steal. I forget what it was, but you had to steal some gold or something from the crime family or whatever. This mission was pretty good, but again, I don't think it was what I was expecting. I would have expected it to be more like a GTA heist mission where you go in, you know, at first you're secretive, but then the mission ends with like crazy chaos. You're running from the cops. You're on a freaking helicopter or boat chase or something crazy is happening, but it doesn't end like that. The whole mission is just you kind of sneaking around doing some stuff, and then at the end of the mission, once you finally got the stuff, I'm pretty sure you just escape on a boat. That's pretty much it. And like in the end, there is like the people do figure out that you're, you know, stealing the shit. So then there is a bit of a scene where you're fighting people, but it's not as crazy as I hoped it would be. The one thing I did like is the switch in perspectives. Like I'm pretty sure some parts of the mission you're playing as Case underground, and then he gets knocked out, and then you play as I think Felix Newman or something after that, and then the whole perspective changes was really cool in this mission. I did like that, and just switching between the characters and trying to figure out what each character is doing, that was really cool. I did like that. So then the next mission is Ground Control. This is again now back to a traditional Call of Duty mission. You're with Russell Adler and Sims from Black Ops Cold War. You guys are going to find some Arab dude and interrogate him. So you guys are in a plane or airport or whatever. You break in with a tank, guns blazing, you fight soldiers, you fight juggernauts, you shoot a missile to take down the helicopter before the dude escapes. And yeah, it was a pretty cool mission. I do think that, you know, this game needs more traditional missions, and it's good that we had these traditional missions. This felt like a classic, Black Ops 1 type mission. It was cool seeing Russell Adler and Sims actually here, and yeah, this was a pretty good mission. So then the next one after that is Under the Radar. This is the one where you're in for Kuda. I'm pretty sure it is the OG for Kuda. This is more like the Avalon type missions where you're sneaking around, being a hitman, doing different things to get to the objective. You basically do things like turning off, I think, helicopters and radars and stuff, and then it turns into more so a mission where then your boys pull up, and then you're basically looking for Jane Harrow. She finally pulls up, and I believe in this mission you capture her, I believe. So it was a pretty alright mission, and yeah, nothing to really complain here. So then the final mission, I believe, was Separation Anxiety. I'm pretty sure there was another one after this, was a Checkmate, but I'm just going to combine them together. So this is the one where you basically capture Jane Harrow. You basically inject her with that thing from Black Ops Cold War, the MK Ultra, I believe, that makes her hallucinate to basically find out intel about Pantheon or something. So you go through her past. This mission is pretty cool. You're going through different things. It becomes more so like a horror mission, and the whole mission you're basically rebuilding the mirror in her room to figure out the story. Once you finally do it, you realize that she's doing all this because her parents died from some CIA dude, and she's trying to figure out who did it or something like that. And there's like little hints that it could have been Adler. So it was a pretty cool mission. But yeah, and then it ends with the other mission after that, where you just basically take her down and beat the campaign, and then the end cutscene of the campaign is that there's more agents in the Pantheon. So overall, I know I've said, like, I haven't really said anything negative so far, but now I'm actually going to get into the biggest negative, which is why I think this whole campaign falls apart, and is the story. The story in this campaign is absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst stories you've ever had. It's something that I can tell they put together extremely fast because they were working on other shit. So what is the story of this game? Well, basically, you're trying to figure out who Pantheon is because they've compromised CIA. They frame Adler for killing Mason and stuff like that, and that's why Adler's helping you. Side note, Adler barely has any story in this game. A lot of the side characters don't really do anything. They added some new ones like Felix Newman and stuff, but I don't really do anything. I don't really care about them. There are some parts in the campaign where it seems like they're gonna die, and I don't really care if they die because they're not that interesting. There's also that scene where Jane Harrow threatens to kill Woods. Again, we know he survives later on for Black Ops 2, so we don't care. We know he's not gonna die. It's nothing emotional there. The only two characters I think that are pretty interesting is probably just Marshall and Case, and maybe Adler because he just has aura, but even then they barely use Adler in the story. So yeah, anyways, we find out that in Pantheon, Jane Harrow is the leader of Pantheon or something, and she's been our handler, so she kind of betrayed us. But again, we don't really know anything about Jane Harrow. We never had any true missions with her. So there's nothing cool about the twist. Nobody cares. It's not like Black Ops 2 where Salazar betrays you and you've literally played a lot of the campaign with him, and there's that whole thing where, Menendez escapes, and you finally realize after that it was Salazar that let him escape. And that whole twist with that mission on the ship where everyone starts shooting each other, and depending on the decisions you made throughout the campaign, that whole scenario could change 30 different ways. It was so cool. But here, this betrayal makes no sense. Like, nobody really cares. We don't know anything about Jane Harrow. We don't care. And also, man, female villains just suck. You can call me misogynist or whatever, but nobody cares about female villains. We all want male villains with aura, and man, she's just kind of annoying and ass. So yeah, the whole story just doesn't make sense. You have also the Cradle thing, but again, I'm just so tired of these like same types of plot lines where for the past like 5 years, since like Modern Warfare 2019, all the stories have been either stop the nukes or stop the virus or something, like Cradle or MK Ultra or something like that. For Black Ops games, it's always stop the virus or something, and for Modern Warfare games, it's always stop the missiles, stop the nukes. It's always the same bullshit. Like, why can't we have a completely different storyline like Black Ops 2, where they actually did research on what could be issues in the future, and they figured out that, AI, artificial intelligence, quantum computing could be a huge thing, and just if someone got their hands on all the internet and everything in the world, we could be in trouble. But they just don't do these unique stories anymore. It's always just the same bullshit that they do again and again. And I think that's why these missions fall apart, because there's just no proper narrative to it. You're just doing random stuff that doesn't really have any storyline to it. Even if you take some of the Black Ops 2 missions, like the one where you're playing as Raul Menendez and you're shotgunning a ton of random people, and you're going through that village to save Josefina. That mission, gameplay-wise, isn't the best. It's nothing extraordinary, but it feels so much better than a lot of the Black Ops 6 missions because there's storyline behind it. You actually feel like you're there. You actually care about what's happening around you. But in this, you just don't. The storyline is just not there. The side characters all suck, except for maybe Marshall and Case. And Case is, again, a mute character. I just don't think mute characters work. They're just not cool. You, as the player, just don't feel as engaged with a mute character rather than if your character actually spoke and all that stuff. There is multiple choice and like things like from Cold War, but again, there's no multiple endings, so nothing that you choose actually matters. And even in Cold War, it didn't matter much. It was just mostly in the end, which is kind of an L. But yeah, I mean, this campaign, I think story-wise really drags it down, and gameplay-wise it just also feels weird because the game just doesn't have a theme. Are you trying to be some crazy horror theme, crazy missions type campaign, or are you trying to be grounded and realistic? You need to pick your theme, or else it just feels weird because we're jumping between missions. We have your grounded missions like the ones in the Middle East with, you know, Saddam Hussein's palace and, you know, the Arab dude at the airport, and then you have these other missions in Avalon where you're just sneaking around doing some random bullshit for Safadi Dumas. It's just like, what do you want your theme to be? And it just feels like the missions are just all over the place. Now, gameplay wise, it's still fun. I think you still have an enjoyable experience, but if you compare them to the other games like Black Ops 2, I just really think it falls apart and the whole campaign just becomes mid. Now, as for other things like the safe house is another thing where the actual location they chose for the safe house and the whole aesthetic is amazing, but they just did nothing with it. There's one puzzle that you can do, but it takes like 10 minutes to solve. I literally finished it before even starting the second mission. I finished it. I just googled the video, I did it, and yeah, then I realized there's nothing else to do in the safe house. That's it. There's one mission in the safe house. There's nothing you do outside. There's literally nothing to do in the safe house. The only thing you do is talk with people, but again, your story doesn't change if you talk to someone, and I just don't want to sit there talking to people and listening to their boring ass stories about Safadi Dumas and her crime family. I don't care. Okay, I don't care. If I'm not getting an alternate ending reward or something like that, I do not care. So I think the campaign overall is like a 4 or 5 out of 10 just because the story drags it down and the gameplay is just all over the place. And even some of the missions, like, they tried to replicate the KGB mission from Cold War in a lot of their missions, and I just don't think it works. Because the KGB mission was one of the best missions ever in Call of Duty history, in my opinion, where you're in a cool ass KGB base and you're sneaking around and you have multiple ways to do the mission, like poisoning the officer, you know, getting a key card, bribing people. There's so many things you could do, but the story was there. You had Kravchenko there, you had the Imran Zakhaev from Modern Warfare, you know, the campaigns. You had some multiple choice things where Imran Zakhaev would ask you a question in the elevator, and if you'd answer it wrong, he'd attack you. Like, it was just cool. That whole aesthetic was cool. The storyline was there, but in these missions, there's no storyline. You're just kind of doing some bullshit, and it's just annoying to play. So I'd give the campaign a 5 or 4 out of 10. So now, the multiplayer. The multiplayer, I'm just gonna say it straight up. I think the multiplayer would have been one of the best of all time if it just had no skill-based matchmaking. I know everyone says this for all the multiplayers, but I truly believe Black Ops 6 would have been so much better without skill-based matchmaking. So the thing with Black Ops 6's multiplayer is they added Omni movement, and what this did was increase the skill gap. If you know how to use Omni movement more to be able to slide backwards or whatever, the skill gap would be increased, and yeah, like, it would just be increased. So that's why the skill-based matchmaking goes even more crazier in Black Ops 6, because you had people moving like crazy and sliding around in random positions, and that's why the skill-based matchmaking was just freaking crazy. It wasn't as bad as the other games. It's because of the Omni movement. But yeah, if I'm being honest, the Omni movement wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like crazy. Like, if I go back and play Black Ops 3 or 2 or whatever, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Omni movement's done in this game. Oh. If I play Battlefield, like, it's not that deep. I don't think the Omni movement was crazy. But again, if you mastered it, you are going to be better than a lot of the other players, which makes the skill-based matchmaking a lot more crazier for this game. The aesthetic of the game was also another thing. I do think the aesthetic was on point in terms of just feeling like a BO1 type game. The maps, they looked pretty cool. The guns looked pretty cool, but then this gets to another part where there just wasn't much innovation. The maps just were really small, and it's just like you're getting into a gunfight every 5 seconds, and it just become brain rotty and TikTok-y, especially with the skill-based matchmaking, which makes it even worse. The guns themselves are all just remasters and reused from Black Ops 1 and Cold War and all this stuff. There weren't really any new innovative guns that you're really gonna remember this game for. Even Cold War had guns you would remember the game for, like the Gallo and the Krieg and the XM4. They were just really good in that game. But for this game, there's not really that much, guns that you're gonna remember this game for and wish you could go back to play for the guns or whatever. And the maps, even, the maps that really carried were the remasters and a lot of the bigger maps, mostly the launch ones, but a lot of just the brain rot TikTok maps were just annoying to play, and it's crazy. They just locked in with the Face Off, even though everybody hated it. Then you have Beavis and Butthead and all these other stuff that just ruined the aesthetic of the game, making it like Ninja Turtles and all this. Like, it's supposed to be a Cold War game. You're supposed to have Saddam Hussein and all these figures. You're supposed to make it literally look like this, but now you're making it look like this. It just doesn't make sense. On top of that, the seasonal events and the actual content for the game, season to season, was just ass. They just added like a new map here and there, and then some boring ass game what nobody cares about. And I think the overall, just them not listening to the community and the skill-based matchmaking really ruined it for the community. And I think a lot of people were just burnt out at this point, because we've been dealing with this stuff for 5 years, and now we're just like tired of it. We want to get skill-based matchmaking removed. We want the maps to be bigger. We want an aesthetic for the game. And I think that's why now they're finally listening for Black Ops 7. Obviously, it's because of Battlefield 6, but that's why I think a lot of people are more positive about Black Ops 7. And honestly, going back to the multiplayer now, I'm actually enjoying it. I literally only played the multiplayer for the first month of the game, and I did love it, and then I didn't touch it till now. I didn't play it the entire year until now. And now that I'm going back to it, there's not as many people playing and stuff, and since I haven't played for a while, my skill-based matchmaking is a little low, and I'll be honest, I did have a lot of fun. It was fun just playing, moving around, killing people. The sound effects of just headshots and stuff were on point. I really liked how they handled the prestige system with all the rewards and bringing back those classic prestige icons and all that stuff. Even just little things like loading screens and whatever they added was really cool. And yeah, I think this game did a lot good with the multiplayer, and the foundation was there, but the fact that the seasonal content and that they added was just so ass, and the skill-based matchmaking, I think the skill-based matchmaking was the #1 thing that ruined this game. They could have gone away with everything else if the skill-based matchmaking was good, in my opinion. This game still would have had a pretty good reputation if the skill-based matchmaking was just gone in this game. And I don't understand why they also just wouldn't remove it after the Black Ops 7 beta. At least let people just try it on Black Ops 6, make the game a little bit fun again. Instead of releasing free trials to try to compete with Battlefield, remove skill-based matchmaking. That could have brought a few people back, and then you could do this free trials. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And I think overall, over time, I think this game will age well in terms of its multiplayer. Like, next year with Black Ops 7 being in the life cycle, because there's going to be less people on this game and the skill-based matchmaking is going to be lower, I do think this will be a very fun multiplayer to play. And even now, I'm having a really enjoyable experience, like almost 8 out of 10. Like, I had really fun playing the multiplayer recently because my skill-based matchmaking was a little lower. But now that it's getting a little bit higher and I was getting sweaty in lobbies, I'm not having as fun anymore. So honestly, at launch, I would have given this like an 8 out of 10. And even now, when I played it with the bad skill-based matchmaking, I would have given it an 8 out of 10. But overall, I think I give this multiplayer a 5 out of 10 just because of that skill-based matchmaking. Alright, so zombies. I play zombies a lot, so this is where I'm really going to be critique on this, but let's get into the zombies. So again, at launch, zombies was amazing. You had Terminus and Liberty Falls that launched at launch. Terminus was your more hardcore maps for the hardcore fans, and Liberty Falls was your more camo grindy map. They were trying to follow the Black Ops 3 style where they released Shadows of Evil and the Giant, and I think it worked pretty well. The story was also pretty good on Terminus. I think Terminus will go down as one of the best maps we've ever gotten. It wouldn't be like amazing, but it would be like a solid A tier map. Even in the future, I think this map holds well. And yeah, I think Black Ops 6 mechanically is better than Cold War to a degree. I have to be honest there, but I still think Cold War does a lot better. And I think honestly, from just having a fun experience, I'd put Cold War over Black Ops 6 mechanic wise. Sure, they did some more things to make the game more hardcore, but I think it just negatively impacted it more than they think it did. Because the high rounds in this game are absolutely obnoxious to do. You just have to mute injection spam. You can't even train because zombies are just too fast and do too much damage. And armor and shit, armor's back. I don't think armor's that big of a deal, but I think that Cold War handled it a lot better with just the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, like the actual armor vests, rather than having to plate all the time. Manually plate is just annoying. Rarities are back, which are annoying, and literally all these bonder mechanics are back. And I think the biggest problem with this game is that it's just reusing the same thing. So we've had the bonder mechanics for 5 years almost now. We've had it since Cold War, then we had Vanguard, then Modern Warfare Zombies, and then now. It's been like 5 years of the same bullshit with no innovations. Almost zero. I think Vanguard was the only one that innovated to a degree where it removed rarities. It made a whole different perk system where you had to buy perks multiple times. The sacrificial altar system. I think Vanguard did a lot differently, and nobody gives it credit for that. But still, the general modern formula was still kind of there, with field upgrades and all that stuff. Modern Warfare Zombies, they brought back all that stuff from Cold War, same type of vibe, and now we have this game that's just the same bullshit. And I don't think that the actual mechanics are that bad. I just think that we're burnt out for it, and I think Zombies needs innovation. If we played the classic mechanics forever, we would have hated it. This is actually what happened with Black Ops 3 and 4, was that people were getting tired of the classic mechanics. People were getting tired of just having to also do Easter eggs to get Pack-a-Punch, and just the whole hardcoreness of the maps in general for Black Ops 3 and 4, which is why they made it a lot more casual for Black Ops Cold War, and why a lot of people actually loved Cold War, and we're even saying that it was on par with Black Ops 3. You can watch Donuts' video, he made a whole video about this, but everyone was glazing Black Ops Cold War when it came out. Why? Because it was something completely new, with new mechanics, new everything, and that's why everyone was loving it. But the fact that they've milked this content so much, and they've just refusing to listen, and they've literally just said that we're sticking to this, is the main problem. Everyone's burnt out. Nobody wants to play these same mechanics again and again and again. As for the maps, they started off good. Terminus had a solid boss fight, a solid Easter egg with a solid formula. Liberty Falls is a fun Easter egg to do here and there, just with some buddies or just randoms. It's really fun to do, and it's a fun map to just kind of survive on and do camels on. And then Citadel de Mor, I think, is one of the worst maps in my opinion. I don't like Citadel because of just how disappointing it was. I could make a whole video on it alone, but basically they hyped it too much by saying it was one of the best maps they've ever created, and one of the creators was saying that he's loved working on this map, and he's been working on it since like World at War or something. The map, it looks amazing from the promo images. It's a huge castle, but you can only explore 1% of it. The amalgams are reused, the vermin and parasites are reused. There's no knight armor zombies or anything cool like that. The swords are too easy to do. There isn't an extra step for them. The Easter egg is annoying to do because it's just building the incantations, and then I absolutely hate the trap step. It's so annoying. I hate it. After that, the Easter egg is okay. The boss fight is pretty decent, but it's again a bullet sponge. The whole aesthetic of the map is kind of good. I do like what they went for, but at the same time, it does look kind of ugly. And they did just ruin the whole aesthetic of the castle because they just added syndicate chairs and random stuff like that. I just don't like this map. I think it's so disappointing in terms of how they marketed it and what it could have been. And story-wise, I don't think it was okay, but this is where the game really fell off. So basically, the end cutscene of this map was like, oh, Kraft is, Richtofen's dad or something, adopted dad. We gotta find the Sentinel artifact. And Terminus ended with bringing the Sentinel artifact and tying the Chaos crew. But now you can obviously see that this was just nostalgia bait to get people hyped. The Tomb comes out. The Tomb is, I think, the best map in Black Ops 6 gameplay-wise. I don't really agree with that too much anymore. I made a video on this, but I do think it's one of the best maps in Black Ops 6 gameplay-wise. It's fun. It's a nice casual map, but Easter egg wise, it's terrible. It's the worst Easter egg in the entire game. I don't even call it an Easter egg. It's just nothing. And then the boss fight, I think, is pretty good, and it's really hardcore. But the story is not there. The story sucks in this map. There's zero story. I don't even have anything to talk about. Shattered Vale comes out. Shattered Vale is also a pretty good map. I think this was one of the maps that kind of redeemed this game a little bit. You got Richtofen back, but again, it didn't really solve anything. We didn't have Blanchard in this map. We didn't have Panos in this map. There wasn't much dialogue. Some of the characters were mute because obviously the voice actor strike, and you could really see a lot of the problems in Zombies here. But yeah, Shattered Veil, and then Reckoning was just nothing. I don't know what to talk about Reckoning. It was just one of the worst endings ever. The whole half the cutscene is actually just reused from the intro cutscene of Ashes of the Dam, so that can really show you a lot of this map. But yeah, I've been talking too much of the video, so I'm gonna try to wrap it out as much as possible. The main problem with Zombies was the lack of innovation and the story. The story was just terrible. They did nothing with the story. They overhyped it. They brought Richtofen back and the Sentinel Artifact, and they did absolutely nothing with those two things, and they again delayed it till DLC 4 and Black Ops 7, and they do this all the time. They did this with Black Ops 4 as well, where they hyped up the Great War map and everything, and it ended with nothing. And Black Ops 3, same thing. They're hyping up the Great War map, and then they leave it to DLC 4 to actually do it, and then boom, it's just like, oh, you gotta wait till the next game for Black Ops 4. And they did this with Cold War, where the whole game was kind of mid story-wise, and then they hype up in Black Ops at the end, where it's like, oh, Richtofen's back, you gotta wait till Black Ops 6. And now they're doing the same thing again, where they hyped up that the OG premise crew is back. Oh, you gotta wait for Black Ops 7. They always do this bullshit. The story sucks. The lack of innovation is just terrible. And I think it's not that bad. And here and there, I have an enjoyable time on Black Ops 6. But man, I'm just so burnt out. And I hope Black Ops 7's curse mode can really save this game. So overall, I'd give Black Ops 6 a 5 out of 10. I think it's just a mid Call of Duty. There's a lot to love here, and there's a lot to absolutely hate. Some of the stuff that they added was new and reused, like even in Zombies, Gobblegums and stuff were reused. Again, I forgot to touch up on this, but why the hell do Gobblegums not have a classic mode where, or why isn't there any classic Gobblegums where I can just infinitely use them? Fucking hate that. That's the dumbest thing that they ever did. They clearly did this to intensify you to buy Gobblegums, but it just makes me not want to use them because I don't want to waste my Gobblegums. But yeah, anyways, Black Ops 6, I'd give a 5 out of 10. The campaign, gameplay-wise, was pretty decent, but again, the gameplay had no real theme. You're just doing random shit. It didn't match the marketing at all for the actual campaign, and the storyline just absolutely sucked for the campaign. Multiplayer-wise, seasonal content was terrible. The core gameplay was really good, but SBMM really ruined this game, and they ruined the aesthetic with Beavis and Butthead and all that stuff. Black Ops 6 Zombies had a lack of innovation, a lack of any real changes, and everybody is just burnt out of the modern Zombies mechanics. Even though they're not necessarily bad, we just want new things. I would honestly prefer a completely new system of mechanics, and I don't want to see the classic Zombies return and any of the mechanics. I just want to see completely brand new content, new mechanics in COD Zombies. So lack of innovation and the storyline being absolutely ass, and again prolonging it to Black Ops 7 is, I think, the reason why this Zombies mode was mid. So overall, Black Ops 7 or Black Ops 6, I'd give a 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. I said 6, 6, 7. So yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching this video. I'm talking really fast because I gotta sleep and I gotta really get this video out. So thanks for watching. Peace.